So I was at UCLA in political science and then Harvard Law School.
Okay. So you don't have, you wouldn't consider yourself an expert in sociology?
I mean, I don't consider sociology a particularly expert field, but go ahead. I think I'm able to read a sociological study.
But you did this poll online.
Yes, it is.
Yep. What would you rather your child had, feminism or cancer?
Yep. And 22,000 people voted, and people voted in favor of cancer.
As far as, if you want to take issue with the argument, I would urge you not to use the argument from authority, which is somebody has a PhD by their name, they know what they're talking about. That's a dumb argument.
Okay, but you're still saying these kids should not be accepted because they don't really fit in either place? They can't just
I'm saying that the Boy Scouts have a standard. You must be a biological boy to be a Boy Scout. You have to be a boy to be a Boy Scout.
Where's that written, though? Okay.
In the name Boy Scouts. Because this is a very because for all of human history, boy meant boy and girl meant girl. Boy did not mean girl.
People are very more dangerous culture.
And if I call you a moose, are you suddenly a moose? Okay, if I redefine our terms. No, yes, that's right. Men and women are a completely different thing. This is true. Have you ever met a man or a woman? Let me ask you this. Okay, I won't ask you how old. I will ask you how old you are, okay? Because you're young enough that it's probably not insulting to ask you. So.
I'm 22, so I'm probably young and naive, right?
No. Why aren't you 60? Why aren't you 60?
Because
The normal suicide rate across the United States is 4%. The suicide rate in the transgender community is 40%. The idea that 36% more transgender people are committing suicide because people are mean to them is ridiculous. It's not true, and it's not backed by any science that anyone can cite. It is pure conjecture.
have you talked to a group of trans people at all instead of this group of white people?
I'm more than happy to talk to a group of any people who will have me, but usually they protest me. I'm not anti-birth control.
I know.
Birth control is extraordinarily cheap.
That provides affordable birth control, which would in turn.
Okay, they're not the only people in America who provide affordable birth control. You can go get a pack of condoms down at the local CVS for $12.
Condoms great. People need medication too.
See at the moment, but I think, would you agree with me on that one? Can we at least get a little agreement to finish this particular parlay? Okay, should rapists be castrated or killed?
Well, yes.
Okay, good. Yeah. Okay, we agree. Thanks.
A society that wasn't constructed on the backs of men. It's a simple biological fact, apparent to anyone who bothers to look around, that finding a woman digging dirt on a construction site or 50 floors up cleaning a window is about as common as finding an attractive feminist. The roofs over your head, the floor under your feet, pretty much everything you use was designed and built by a man. Now, some people will say this is simply, of course, a result of the historical patriarchal prejudice. Women just didn't have access to things. Well, they do now, and the situation isn't changing very much. Unless there's Sally Cohn. I mean, I'd quite like to see Sally Cohn wrenched off CNN and thrown down a cave. You know, I think might give her a little perspective.
All right, awesome. So, just context. I've been actively promoting this event and inviting people to debate you in the Q&A. And many people thought that even if they were right, you would still win the debate due to your position of authority and argumentative wit. And so I'm here today to try.
I mean, they're right. I'll win, but yeah.
Isn't cultural appropriation great?
All of the traditional imbalances between men and women have flipped, and very recently.
No, that's
and when
incorrect,
young
because
men,
when you go
may I be allowed to
further in the
finish?
business,
Sorry,
that
I'm
is
talking
not
about men, darling.
And you called him darling?
American. So why am I off the rails, Mr. Shapiro?
Honestly, Piers, you've kind of been a bully on this issue because what you do, and I've seen it repeatedly on your show, I watch your show, and I've seen it repeatedly, what you tend to do is you tend to demonize people who differ from you politically by standing on the graves of the children of Sandy Hook, saying they don't seem to care enough about the dead kids. If they cared more about the dead kids, they would agree with you on policy. I think we can have a rational political conversation about balancing rights and risks and rewards of all of these different policies, but I don't think that what we need to do is demonize people on the other side as being unfeeling about what happened in Sandy Hook.
How dare you accuse me of standing on the graves of the children that died there? How dare you?
I've seen you do it repeatedly, Piers.
Like I say, how dare you?
Well, I mean, you can keep saying that, but you've done it repeatedly. What you do, and I've seen you do it on the program.
Bullying.
You know what I call it? Punching back twice as hard in the words of President Obama.
That's what I call bullying. And
this is astonishing.
What's astonishing
What's astonishing about it is that for weeks now, you have been saying that anybody who disagrees with your position is absurd idiotic, and doesn't care about the dead kids in Sandy Hook. And then when I say that that's a bully tactic, you turn around and say, I'm bullying you for saying that. It's absurd. It's ridiculous.
Sure.
Hi. I'd like to start saying I've survived cancer twice, and I definitely say...
I know what you're going to say, and so does everybody else, but say it anyway.
I'd rather have cancer than feminism.
I have a friend here who believes Obama has led a pretty good presidency so far, so I thought what better...
Why are you friends?
Contributing to Hillary Clinton joining the White House. I don't think you have any right to call yourself a conservative. I don't much care to give you advice after this election. I hope you never vote again. What's that, darling? Oh, you're well... 13% of you believe in Bigfoot. Only 11% of you believe that Hillary Clinton is trustworthy, which is at least something.
So, on the way over here, we got in a discussion about the wage gap. What was your opinion on this?
I mean, it's not my opinion. It's statistical fact. This is bullshit. Okay,
You 25, got some feminists, yeah. 30. So, I can tell from the ones who haven't washed their hair in a while.
If I'm occasionally mean, it's normally because they deserve it.
With my name-calling, and with my provocation, and with my bad manners, you know, I think actually America's had enough of nice manners. If my rudeness creates conflict, my rudeness provokes people into, first of all, saying, oh, what a monster, blah, 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 and then 20% of people start talking about what I was actually saying, I will consider my career to have been a terrific success. But I am not responsible for what 350,000 people on the internet say. I am responsible for what I say. Right. Do you go after Selena Gomez when her fans send death threats to Justin Bieber? No. Do you go after Beyonce when her fans go after Taylor Swift? Sure, I was mean.
You called her a dude.
I said it's a good job there's a hot black dude in the movie. She looks like a man. I am entitled to say that I think a celebrity looks weird.
You think that's fair comment and a decent thing
That's
and
like
a
the
civil
definition
thing
of
to
fair
do?
comment.
Nobody but women at 77 cents on the dollar to do the exact same work as men, and everybody else were stupid enough not to hire any of the women. I'd be the richest man in America.
Wanted to sell arms to the Germans. That was cool, right?
That's a national security threat and was illegal for a reason. That's not freedom of association.
Oh, so but now we have qualifications. Okay.
No. No, it's called an externality to a relationship. There are no externalities to a relationship where you come into my business and I say I'm not serving you. It's you and me, and a consensual transaction has not taken place. If I sell you a nuclear weapon, there are probably going to be ramifications to me selling you a nuclear weapon. I'm sure that Michael, you went to public school, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so did I for elementary school, and I think I was in the Christmas pageant. I believe I was an elf, and somehow I didn't magically turn into a Christian. And my guess is that both you and I could probably sing in beautiful two-part harmony all of Silent Night, probably based on what we learned in public school. The idea that this is some sort of grand imposition or grand inquisition, and that the acting out of the mere saying of the word Christmas in a public school is somehow an establishment of religion to the exclusion of all other religions. Before you warned that perhaps I should take things a little more lightly. On this one, I do take it pretty lightly.
Good. I mean, you know, the Christians are singing about the Savior of the world, and we're singing about a spinning top. This is not fair. This is not good.
Michael, we have Bizet and we have Gershwin, but we don't have Beethoven or Brahms. We're gonna have to let it go.
Gershwin.
Ben, this is great. I should use your trick because government is always the problem. It's always the problem.
Pretty much.
Frankly.
Well, I agree it's not, but is it racism or government venality? I mean, as I say about it, is it racism or government being corrupt? Meaning that in the city of Seattle, for example, they can't fill a pothole, but they become evil geniuses when it comes to the parking meters. Right?
And you know, as a liberal, right? That's what you say about me. And
I think you're a leftist.
And most liberals are.
It's true. You might say that workers of the world, for lack of a better word, are uniting. You know, as far as the.
It's easy to make facetious comments. It's very hard to dispute data.
Well, since you provided no data in that actual answer, it's not that difficult. As far as
how can you argue that racism is not a driving factor in income inequality?
Because it has nothing to do with race and everything to do with culture. And when you have a culture that doesn't, and when, you know what? Explain to me. You explain to me why black kids aren't graduating high school. Explain that one to me. Explain to me why black kids are shooting each other in rates significantly higher than whites are shooting each other. Explain to me why 13% of the population is responsible for 50% of the murder. Explain to me why the number of black kids in prison, not for innocent reasons, not for walking down the street and getting pulled into a prison, is so high. Explain, if it has nothing to do with culture, explain to me why the single motherhood rate in the black community jumped from 20% to 70% in the same course of time that the civil rights movement has made such tremendous strides. Is America more racist now than it was in 1960? And if it is, please explain to me how that happened.
It's like I can't eat spicy picante sauce, so I'm not Mexican enough. You know, it's true, you know, in every culture, whether it's Asian, you know, black, Mexican, there is, while you may not have grown up talking about it over your, you know, tea and toast.
I mean, in my family, if you're not a doctor or a lawyer, you're not Jewish
enough. You're not
enough.
Jewish enough.
Call me crazy, but I find painting menstrual blood on your face off-putting. It's just not my thing. I mean, I think there's a reason why many of these women will die single and alone. But don't worry, they'll have their 83 cats to comfort them.
So women should just, you know, say suck it and have a child, suck it up and have a child?
Well, if you get pregnant, yes, because you don't get to kill things just because it's in your uterus.
It's my body, how about you just stay out of it?
How about it's dating?
How
You
about
don't get to kill it
you're
because it's in
talking
there.
so much about how...
I don't care about your appendix. I don't care about your thorax. I don't even care about your uterus. I care about what's in it.
And I can take out my appendix if I don't want it, so why can't I take out other parts of my body?
Because they're not independent living human beings.
For the mother, they form maternal abortion, it shouldn't happen. But if it's a threat to the mother's health, or if the mother, like, I don't see why you would force a living human being to give birth to that.
Because it's another living human being.
So you're going to kill the mother to save the baby? And
No, hold on. You're talking about a case where the mother's life's in danger. I don't know what you're talking about.
Hair and stuff after they're born.
I agree with you that abortion is an exception when the mother's life's in danger.
But the concept of bodily autonomy means that I don't have to give up any part of my body unless I say so.
The baby is not part of your body. The baby is a baby.
Nurture.
Really, my wife is pregnant right now, and she's 30 weeks pregnant.
Yeah.
Actually 32. That baby is kicking the living crap out of her. Okay, that is a living human being in there. Okay, and I promise you that it is not a bundle of cells. Okay, I can guarantee you it's not a bundle of cells because that is a baby. Okay, and I'm sorry. You're technically a bundle of cells, right?
Feminists will be so endangered they really will be like buffaloes. We'll be keeping them in zoos as ugly reminders of our hideous past. Everywhere there is Islam, you will find women oppressed. Everywhere there is Islam, you will find... You're wearing a hijab in the United States of America. What is wrong with you? This is not an ISIS thing. You know, you will see gays being thrown off the roof in ISIS-controlled territories. But this has nothing to do with terrorism. This is mainstream Muslim culture. Your religion does it everywhere your religion exists. It is a threat, an existential threat to gay people.
Many of them were from Milo, many of them were egged on by him, many of them were encouraged by him, many people were retweeting him, you know, my head photoshopped onto unattractive bodies. My head photoshopped.
You're sort of Major General of misogyny. What?
And the thing is, you know, I'm not particularly interested in a professional provocateur who goes out and says deliberately outrageous things, like I do, turning around and then playing the victim when she doesn't like ridicule or criticism afterwards.
I don't say anything outrageous.
Ridicule, let me finish. I'll let you finish.
Rights.
I'll let you finish, so stop. You know, after she lost the debate, as feminists very often do these days, because they've got facts on their side, you know, she turned around and she did what feminists always do, which is confect a sob story. Now, Kate is, like me, a professional provocateur, but only one of us plays the victim afterwards.
I do try to stay away from the subject of Hillary because I don't want to be the subject of an unfortunate bus accident in the next few days. I mean, I understand people who reveal embarrassing information about her have a habit of ending up in several pieces on the freeway. It's just horrible series of complete accidents.
It's clear. I mean, as anybody who has witnessed three girls fighting over one man can attest, you know, women can't agree on anything. They can't agree on the methods to anything. They can't even run a female liberation movement. Look at the history of feminism. I mean, look how many different definitions of feminism. You're entitled to define it how you want, but other people don't agree with you. Sorry, you don't get the monopoly.
My position is very simple. There are just three genders. There's man, woman, and retarded. This young man is retarded. She does look like a man. And I will never, ever stop saying so, whatever Twitter does.
There's one protester, he's gonna go talk to him.
I bought you some water, are you okay?
I'm fine, thank you.
What's that with you? You're the only person.
I'd rather not speak with you, thank you.
You'd rather not? Why? What does it say?
I'd rather not speak with you.
Milo, I'm gay too. Do not represent. Well, I've never said I did, darling. You're the only person here. Can you feel lonely? I don't think I must talk to you very much, but I'm going to leave you some water. You get tired, they'll come and they'll bring you in, all right? And come and enjoy the show with everybody else. You poor little angel. Some men are retreating into slightly horrendous other things. We have produced another pathetic, monstrous creature as a result of this phenomenon, known as the male feminist. This is about the most depressingly hilarious creation of modern life. I find Islam quite funny. I find all sorts of things that I'm not supposed to... What's that? Aloha snack bar, yeah. I find trannies quite funny. I mean, all these things are inherently very entertaining, but we're told that we can't laugh about them because we're offending someone. Oh.
Madam, I'm grateful to you for coming, but to be quite honest with you, feelings.